On Sunday, it was reported that federal emergency workers were forced to evacuate an area hit hard by Hurricane Helene late last month, after officials had warned that armed militias were hunting hurricane response teams. Holy crap. The Washington Post reported that a U.S. Forest Service official had sent an urgent message to other federal agencies involved in the recovery on Saturday afternoon, saying that FEMA had advised all federal responders in Rutherford County, North Carolina, to, quote, stand down and evacuate the county immediately. So the threat was that bad. National Guard troops in the area said the official had come across 2 trucks of armed militias saying that they were out hunting for FEMA. Now, the message was also verified by 2 federal officials, so this was a very real threat. But why in the world would militia members be after federal aid workers? Seems really strange, right? Well, it turns out it's because of propaganda from the far right, amplified by former President Donald Trump and people around him. Because of them, emergency responders were forced to move to a safe area. While they're there, of course, they can't do the very important work of delivering much-needed supplies and clearing trees from roads in order to help search and rescue crews be able to locate people who might be missing. That means people could die. This is not a game. People need help. And you've got these 2-bit militia weirdos out there preventing people from getting help. Oh, because it's from the big bad government? So the government's here to help them out. Oh, can't let that happen.
Can't let that happen.
Carolina Forward, an independent think tank, wrote on social media about this, saying, this is what MAGA does. Eventually, their lies have real-world consequences. Let's be clear, our militias are terrorizing FEMA rescue workers and causing important work to stop because Donald Trump spread lies and disinformation about the hurricane. This is on the Republican candidate for president with help from Elon Musk. Yes, Elon Musk. This is according to media critic Jennifer Schultz. Shameful and disqualifying. So, talking about lies, right? What kind of lies? Well, I've already talked about this before in other videos, but basically some of the lies are, oh, FEMA's out of money because they've been diverting all the cash to illegals. Well, wait, if that was true, then they wouldn't be there helping people out now, would they, if they were out of money? Doesn't make any sense, right? Another one is that if you take the $750 worth of emergency money from FEMA in order to get like normal supplies, right? Like, water, food, etc. Well, they're saying that if you take that it's actually a loan, which it's not. But if you take it, then the government will then be able to come and take your house and all your possessions, which is insane. That's not true at all. Trump had said he'd received unspecified reports, as in he just made it up, that North Carolina officials were going out of their way to not help people in Republican areas. How would they know? Again, it's complete and utter lies. But these lies have consequences, because of course they do. Fox News affiliate WGHP reported Monday that a man was charged with threatening FEMA workers in Rutherford County. Suspect was identified as William Jacob Parsons, who was armed with a handgun when he was arrested. So, yeah, threatening federal workers. Great. Not only that, but Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas warned last Thursday that federal employees, thousands of whom had been deployed to states including North Carolina and Florida to help with the response to the devastating storms, have received threats in recent days. Meteorologists have also received angry messages from people convinced that weather experts and government officials are, quote, creating and directing hurricanes, The Guardian reported last week. Katie Nicolau, a meteorologist in Michigan, told The Guardian, quote, I have had a bunch of people saying I created and steered the hurricane. There are people assuming we control the weather. Look, you got people out there thinking that the weathermen are literally controlling the weather, are making the weather. That's not real. And by the way, he says, oh, they control the weather. They're flinging hurricanes at red states. No, that's insanity. That's absolutely crazy. It's along the lines of
Jewish space lasers
starting forest fires. It's just absolute nuttery. Now, she continued. She said, look, I've had to point out that a hurricane has the energy of 10,000 nuclear bombs, and we can't hope to control that. But it's taken a turn to more violent rhetoric, especially with people saying those who created Milton should be killed. You know the irony about all this? Talking about like, oh yeah, we need to stop people who created Milton because it's so dangerous and deadly. Well, you know what? There are actual machines that are making the storms more destructive. That they're not creating the hurricanes, no, but certainly they're doing things that are helping to make these storms more powerful. They're called oil refineries. They're called coal and natural gas power plants. Those are your weather machines, okay? Turns out the carbon they put out in the atmosphere, the methane that they put out into the atmosphere, the fossil, I should say these greenhouse gases from fossil fuels, from burning of them, have made it not so that the weather day-to-day is changed, but the climate, which is, again, weather patterns over time, making the planet hotter, okay, which tends to fuel storms, more energy in these storms from more heat. So, again, irony, right? Now, that said, right, there is such a thing as weather modification, and it does get used. The most common form of weather modification is called cloud seeding, which increases rainfall or snowfall, and is usually done for the purpose of increasing the local water supply, something that climate change has also had an impact on. I mean, if you look out west during some of the droughts you've had the water supply get dangerously low, places that have experienced drought. Okay, so now that said, cloud seeding has been weaponized. Very little known fact, Operation Popeye in the 1970s. Now what that was is that the U.S. military in Vietnam making essentially monsoon season in that country last longer. So heavier rains, of course, at monsoon season, tons and tons of precipitation, which kind of bogs down, efforts to make war. Okay. So now that said, following that, the UN banned the practice of weaponizing cloud seeding, but that's massively different than having a hurricane gun. Okay, that just creates hurricanes. That's not true. To think that Democrats have a hurricane gun that they're deploying against Republicans during an election season is completely and utterly cuckoo. Okay, it's nuts. And here's the thing, too, right? Where do you think most of the federal aid for these red states that have been devastated comes from? It actually comes from taxes paid more by blue states, places like California, okay, New York. I mean, they get hit with massive weather events too, Hurricane Sandy, and of course you had the wildfires, but generally blue states, again, tend to pay more in taxes. That gets distributed, redistribution, if you will, to aid for red states in the South that happen to have these hurricane seasons or, Tornado Alley, lots of destruction there. And so, I don't know, it just seems kind of weird, right? To think that, oh yeah, no, we're gonna destroy the South and then pay to rebuild it. Okay, no, the Civil War is still not going on. Sorry, that's not the reality. And look, here's the thing: when it comes to federal aid, no Democratic politician has ever voted against funding federal aid for any of the places. Florida, because it'd be monstrous, it'd be barbaric. Of course, Republicans can't say the same thing about them. Okay, they constantly try to defund FEMA and not pass aid for these states until, of course, they need it. Then they're like, "Oh, please, Daddy Government, I could use some more. So please, I need some more money. We need to rebuild." But anyway, they lie to their base about it, and those lies are now getting to a point where it prevents people on the ground from getting the help that they need. And that is disgusting. That is horrible. You are doing more harm to the people in these areas than the government, which is not doing harm at all. They're actually doing what they're supposed to do, what a government's supposed to do, and that is help. And that is very rare for our government, the United States government, to help average people. But in this case, that's what hurricane aid is for. Now, Reva Duncan, a former Forest Service official in hard-hit Asheville, North Carolina, told the Post that locals have even told FEMA employees, though, who have arrived with aid to help with the repairs, that we don't want your help here. And look, it gets to one of the segments that I did last week, where a man had called in, talking about his father-in-law, again, being hit by, Helene, losing everything, but yet believing in these conspiracy theories spread by Donald Trump and Fox News and right-wing figures. He's the kind of guy that's saying, no, I don't want your government help. And then is, pleading with family members, I need help, I've lost everything. Well, FEMA, they can help you. That's specifically what they're for. Government. Don't want no government. Get out of here with your government help. Well, Duncan told the newspaper, quote, it's terrible because a lot of these folks who need assistance are refusing it because they believe the stuff people are saying about FEMA and the government. And it's sad because they're probably the ones who need the help the most. Yeah. It's kind of like one of those self-fulfilling prophecies now. Government comes in and asks, hey, you need help? We're here to help you. They refuse it, and then they say, why doesn't the government help people like me? They're helping all the illegals. It's just the worst kind of self-fulfilling prophecy. Now, Matt Ortega, a web developer in Oakland, California, said the impact of Trump's baseless claims about the hurricane response are also mirroring that of his earlier lies about Haitian immigrants in Springfield, Ohio. Remember, they're eating the pets? Turns out, schools and government businesses and everything else ground to a halt because of the bomb threats stemming from those claims, those verifiably false claims that Haitian migrants were eating people's pets. He said Trump and Republicans' FEMA lies incur a debt just as they did in Springfield. The people who pay it are children whose schools are closed due to bomb threats in Springfield and recovery aid workers when militias are out hunting FEMA. You know what sucks most about this, right? Other than just the people that need help and are refusing to take it. No strings attached. Just here, you were a victim of storm. We have a fund set up. Here you go. Take the money. Rebuild your life. I think for the longest time, I had believed that if people had the correct information, access to information, that they would find that information and do the right thing. Do the thing that's going to help them the most. That's going to be most advantageous for their families. I don't believe that anymore. It's taken a long time for me to get to that point. And I never, have said this publicly, even though I've been thinking it for quite some time. Here we're in an age where we have all the information we could ever need. All the information. It literally at our fingertips. We can find anything that we want, any kind of factual information out there. It's not like it's being hidden from us, okay? The problem is that you still have people that will choose to believe in the lies, even though the truth is right there in front of us, in front of them. They will still choose the lies, even though the lies actively hurt them. And the reason they choose it, unfortunately, is simply due to politics. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon in order to get notified whenever a new video is released. And if you want to support independent, progressive media through this difficult time where it seems like everybody is shutting down, you can become a member on our YouTube page, you can become a subscriber on Facebook, or you can go to my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. Thank you.